Hi, my name is Lindy Ann Hopley, and I'm going to be reading Exodus 12 to 14 with you today. And the Lord spake to Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you. Speak ye unto all the congregation of Israel, saying, In the 10th day of this month they shall take to them every man a lamb, according to the house of their fathers, a lamb for a house. And if the household be too little for the lamb, let him and his neighbor next unto his house take it, according to the number of the souls. Every man according to this eating shall make your count for the lamb. Your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. Ye shall take it out from the sheep or from the goats, and ye shall keep it up until the 14th day of the same month. And the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening. And they shall take of the blood, and strike it on the 2 side posts, and on the upper door posts of the houses, wherein they shall eat it. And they shall eat the flesh in that night, roast with fire and unleavened bread, and with bitter herbs they shall eat it. Eat not of it raw, nor sodden at all with water, but roast with fire, his head with his legs, and with the purtenance thereof. And ye shall let nothing of it remain until the morning, and that which remaineth of it until the morning ye shall burn with fire. And thus shall ye eat it, with your loins girded, your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand, and ye shall eat it in haste. It is the Lord's Passover. For I will pass through the land of Egypt this night, and I will smite all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast, and against all the gods of Egypt I will execute judgment. I am the Lord. And the blood shall be to you for a token upon the houses where ye are. And when I see the blood, I will pass over you, and the plague shall not be upon you to destroy you, when I smite the land of Egypt. And this day shall be unto you for a memorial, and ye shall keep it a feast to the Lord throughout your generations. Ye shall keep it a feast by an ordinance forever. 7 days shall ye eat unleavened bread. Even the first day ye shall put away leaven out of your houses. For whosoever eateth leavened bread from the first day until the 7th day, that soul shall be cut off from Israel. And then the first day there shall be a holy convocation, and in the 7th day there shall be a holy convocation to you. No manner of work shall be done in them, save that whichever man must eat, that only may be done of you. And you shall observe the feast of the unleavened bread, for in this selfsame day have I brought your armies out of the land of Egypt. Therefore shall you observe this day in your generations by an ordinance forever. In the first month, on the 14th day of the month at even, you shall eat unleavened bread until the 21st day of the month at even. 7 days shall there be no leaven found in your house, for whosoever eateth that which is leavened, even that soul shall be cut off from the congregation of Israel, whether he be a stranger or born in the land. Ye shall eat nothing leavened. In all your habitation shall ye eat unleavened bread. Then Moses called for all the elders of Israel, and said unto them, Draw out and take your lamb according to your families, and kill the Passover. And ye shall take a bunch of hyssop, and dip it in the blood that is in the basin, and strike the lintel and the 2 side posts with the blood that is in the basin. And none of you shall go out at the door of his house until the morning. For the Lord will pass through to smite the Egyptians. And when he seeth the blood upon the lintel and on the 2 side posts, the Lord will pass over the door, and will not suffer the destroyer to come in unto your houses to smite you. and you shall observe this thing for the ordinance to thee and to thy sons forever. And it shall come to pass, when ye be come to the land which the Lord will give you, according as he hath promised, that ye shall keep this service. And it shall come to pass, when your children shall say unto you, What mean ye by this service? That you shall say, It is the sacrifice of the Lord's Passover, who passed over the houses of the children of Israel in Egypt, when he smote the Egyptians and delivered our houses. And the people bowed their head and worshipped. And the children of Israel went away and did as the Lord had commanded Moses and Aaron, so did they. And it came to pass that at midnight the Lord smote all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh that sat on his throne until the firstborn of the captive that was in the dungeon, and all the firstborn of the cattle. And Pharaoh rose up in the night, he and all his servants, and all the Egyptians, and there was a great cry in Egypt, for there was not a house where there was not one dead. And he called for Moses and Aaron by night, and said, Rise up, and get ye forth from among my people, both ye and the children of Israel, and go, serve the Lord, as he hath said. Also take your flocks and your herds, as ye have said, and be gone, and bless me also. And the Egyptians were urgent upon the people, that they might send them out of the land in haste, for they said, We be all dead men. And the people took their dough before it was leavened, their kneading troughs being bound up in their clothes upon their shoulders. And the children of Israel did according to the word of Moses, and they borrowed of the Egyptians jewels of silver and jewels of gold and raiment. And the Lord gave the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians, so that they lent unto them such things as they required, and they spoiled the Egyptians. And the children of Israel journeyed from Ramesses to Succoth, about 600,000 on foot, that were men beside children. And a mixed multitude went up also with them, and flocks and herds, even very much cattle. And they baked unleavened cakes, and the dough which they brought forth out of Egypt, for it was not leavened, because they were thrust out of Egypt, and could not tarry, neither had they prepared for themselves any victual. Now the sojourning of the children of Israel who dwelt in Egypt was 430 years. And it came to pass at the end of the 430 years, even at the selfsame day it came to pass, that all the hosts of the Lord went out from the land of Egypt. It is a night to be much observed unto the Lord for bringing them out from the land of Egypt. This is that night of the Lord to be observed for all the children of Israel in their generations. And the Lord said unto Moses and Aaron, This is the ordinance of the Passover. There shall no stranger eat thereof, but every man's servant that is bought for money, when thou hast circumcised them, then shall he eat thereof. A foreigner and an hired servant shall not eat thereof. In one house it shall be eaten. Thou shalt not carry forth aught of the flesh abroad out of the house, neither shall ye break a bone thereof. All the congregation of Israel shall keep it. And when a stranger shall sojourn with them, and will keep the Passover to the Lord, let all his males be circumcised, and then let him come near and keep it. And he shall be as one that is born in the land, for no uncircumcised person shall eat thereof. One law shall be to him that is homeborn, and unto the stranger that sojourneth among him. Thus did all the children of Israel, as the Lord commanded Moses and Aaron, so did they. And it came to pass the selfsame day that the Lord did bring the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt by their armies. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Sanctify unto me all the firstborn, whosoever openeth the womb among the children of Israel, both of man and of beast, it is mine. And Moses said unto the people, Remember this day in which ye came out from Egypt, out of the house of bondage. For that by strength of hand the Lord brought you out from this place, there shall no leavened bread be eaten. This day came ye out in the month Abib. And it shall be, when the Lord shall bring thee into the land of the Canaanites, and the Hittites, and the Amorites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, which they sware unto thy fathers to give thee, a land flowing with milk and honey, that thou shalt keep this service in this month. 7 days thou shalt eat unleavened bread, and in the 7th day shall be a feast unto the Lord. Unleavened bread shall be eaten 7 days, and there shall no leavened bread be seen with thee, neither shall there be leaven seen with thee in all thy quarters. And thou shalt shew thy son in that day, saying, This is done because of that which the Lord did unto me, when I came forth out of Egypt. And it shall be a sign unto thee upon thine hand, and for a memorial between thine eyes, that the Lord's law may be in thy mouth, for with a strong hand hath the Lord brought thee out of Egypt. Thou shalt therefore keep this ordinance in the season from the year to year. And it shall be, when the Lord shall bring thee unto the land of the Canaanites, as he swore unto thee and to thy fathers, and shall give it to thee, that thou shalt set apart unto the Lord all that openeth the matrix, and every firstling that cometh of a beast which thou hast, the male shall be the Lord's. And every firstling of an ass thou shalt redeem with a lamb. And if thou wilt not redeem it, then thou shalt break his neck. And all the firstborn of man among thy children shalt thou redeem. And it shall be, when the son asketh thee in time to come, saying, What is this? And thou shalt say unto him, By strength of hand the Lord brought us out from Egypt, from the house of bondage. And it came to pass, when Pharaoh would hardly let us go, that the Lord slew all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both the firstborn of man and the firstborn of beast. Therefore I sacrifice to the Lord all that openeth the matrix, being males, but all the firstborn of my children I redeem. And it shall be for a token upon thine hand, and for frontlets between thine eyes, for by strength of hand the Lord brought us forth out of Egypt. And it came to pass, when Pharaoh had let the people go, that God led them not through the way of the land of the Philistines, although that was near. For God said, Lest peradventure the people repent when they see war, and they return to Egypt. But God led the people about through the way of the wilderness of the Red Sea, and the children of Israel went up hardness out of the land of Egypt. And Moses took the bones of Joseph with him, for he had straitly sworn the children of Israel, saying, God will surely visit you, and you shall carry up my bones away hence with you. And they took their journey from Succoth, and encamped in Etham, in the edge of the wilderness. And the Lord went before them by day in a pillar of cloud, to lead them the way, and by night in a pillar of fire, to give them light, to go by day and night. He took not away the pillar of the cloud by day, nor the pillar of fire by night, from before the people. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, that they turn and encamp before Pi-hahiroth, between Migdol and the sea, over against Baal-zephon, before it shall ye encamp by the sea. For Pharaoh will say of the children of Israel, They are entangled in the land, the wilderness hath shut them in. And I will harden Pharaoh's heart, that he shall follow after them, and I will be honored upon Pharaoh, and upon all his hosts, that the Egyptians may know that I am the Lord. And they did so. And it was told the king of Egypt that the people fled, and the heart of Pharaoh and of his servants were turned against the people. And they said, Why have we done this, that we have let Israel go from serving us? And he made ready his chariot, and took his people with him. And he took 600 chosen chariots, and all the chariots of Egypt, and captains over every one of them. And the Lord hardened the heart of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and he pursued after the children of Israel. And the children of Israel went out with a high hand. But the Egyptians pursued after them all the horses and chariots of Pharaoh, and his horsemen, and his army, and overtook them encamping by the sea, beside Pi-hahiroth, before Baal-zephon. And when Pharaoh drew nigh, the children of Israel lifted up their eyes, and behold, the Egyptians marched after them, and they were sore afraid. And the children of Israel cried out unto the Lord. And they said unto Moses, Because there were no graves in Egypt, Hast thou taken us away to die in the wilderness? Wherefore hast thou dealt this with us, to carry us forth out of Egypt? Is not this the word that we did tell thee in Egypt, saying, Let us alone, that we may serve the Egyptians? For it had been better for us to serve the Egyptians than that we should die in the wilderness. And Moses said unto the people, Fear ye not. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord, which he will show to you today. For the Egyptians whom ye have seen today, ye shall see them again no more forever. The Lord shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace. And the Lord said unto Moses, Wherefore criest thou unto me? Speak unto the children of Israel that they go forward. But lift thou up thy rod, and stretch out thine hand over the sea, and divide it, and the children of Israel shall go on dry ground through the midst of the sea. And I, behold, I will harden the hearts of the Egyptians, and they shall follow them. And I will get me honor upon Pharaoh, and upon all his host, upon his chariots, and upon all his horsemen. And the Egyptians shall know that I am the Lord, when I have gotten me honor upon Pharaoh, upon his chariots, and upon his horsemen. And the angel of God, which went before the camp of Israel, removed and went behind them. And the pillar of the cloud went from before their face, and stood behind them. And it came between the camp of the Egyptians and the camp of Israel. And it was a cloud and darkness to them, but it gave light by night to these, so that the one came not near the other all the night. And Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and the Lord caused the sea to go back by a strong east wind, and all that night, and made the sea dry land, and the waters were divided. And the children of Israel went into the midst of the sea upon the dry ground, and the waters were a wall unto them, on their right and on their left. And the Egyptians pursued and went in after them to the midst of the sea, even all of Pharaoh's horses, his chariots, and his horsemen. And it came to pass that in the morning watched the Lord, looked unto the host of the Egyptians through the pillar of fire and of the cloud, and troubled the host of the Egyptians, and took off their chariot wheels, and they drave them heavily, so that the Egyptians said, Let us flee from the face of Israel, for the Lord fighteth for them against the Egyptians. And the Lord said unto Moses, Stretch out thine hand over the sea, that the waters may come again upon the Egyptians, upon their chariots, and upon their horsemen. And Moses stretched forth his hand over the sea, and the sea returned to his strength, when the morning appeared, and the Egyptians fled against it, and the Lord overthrew the Egyptians in the midst of the sea. And the waters returned and covered the chariots and the horsemen and all the host of Pharaoh that came into the sea after them. There remained not so much as one of them. But the children of Israel walked upon dry land in the midst of the sea, and the waters were a wall unto them on their right and on their left. Thus the Lord saved Israel that day out of the hand of the Egyptians, and Israel saw the Egyptians dead upon the sea shore. And Israel saw that great work which the Lord did upon the Egyptians, and the people feared the Lord, and believed the Lord and his servant Moses.
Constantly exhausted and stressed? Introducing Exodus, the biblical supplement with 7 divine ingredients for real wellness, featuring organic barley grass and wheatgrass, aloe, saffron, cumin, frankincense, and myrrh, plus a mineral blend that generates healing molecular hydrogen. Experience more energy, less inflammation, and enhanced performance. Exodus is your path to total rejuvenation. Try risk-free with our 60-day guarantee. Click now for divine renewal.
Welcome to Fear into Faith. My name is Summer Day, and I am here today with Lindy Ann Hopley. Now, Lindy Ann, you just finished recording in our green screen studio, reading the Bible, and I have to say, you were brilliant. You were amazing, my South African friend. It was so incredible to watch you record that, and I know you're going to bless a lot of people.
I do hope so. King James definitely added some gusto.
For sure. Well, I'm going to ask you today just about your faith journey. I mean, I know you personally, so this is really great. I know that you have walked in miracles, signs, and wonders, traveled the world. So we're going to get into that and also into just kind of how your faith journey has been. But I just want to talk today about what made you say yes to this project and why do you think it's important for people to be in God's Word?
Well, of course, I myself, God told me you're called to revival, will you say yes? And of course, the Word of God is the very substance what we are basing our whole faith on. It is the living Word. And we can see so much mainstream media trying to create a worldview Bible that is such false information. And so really coming back to something that is the anchor, that is the truth, it's the truth that sets people free.
Yeah.
And that's the power of the Word of God.
So awesome. So awesome. What do you want to say to people who maybe your episode's the first episode they watched and they've never really opened the Word before? How do you want to encourage them to just stick with it?
Well, yeah, it's a discipline sometimes, right? Not every day is I'm not always the hugest reader, but that's what I love about the audio Bible. That's what I love about this project, because it's man, you can kind of read along with someone, enjoy it, and just discipline yourself and make God a priority. I've started a journey where I just say, okay, I get up, I spend time in the Word, I do my exercise, I do the things, and I place God in the first place. Otherwise, the day can just swallow you up. So go for it. Don't give up. Let there be a Bible revival. The revival is not just going to take place in you, but throughout the world.
So good. So good. So I actually don't know the answer to this question. Were you born and raised with strong faith, or take us back to, little tiny Lindy Ann?
Okay.
Well, let me ask you this first. I'm going to ask you the first question. Where are you from?
Yeah, for those who are wondering where this accent is from, I'm South African, 100%. Obviously, every South African is pretty much mixed from all around the world.
Yeah.
So I grew up in Cape Town, South Africa, in an incredibly boring church. And I said, either God is dead, he's too boring for me, or he's a bunch of nonsense that someone made up. And I was just this is not for me. I actually said, I never want to be a Christian. Because I was just because the Bible is next to my bed, why would I believe? If the Quran was there, I would have been a Muslim. I could have been a Hindu. I could have been any other religion.
Yeah.
I said, it's either real or it's not. And so for me, I was always a show me the money type of girl. So I was just not for me. Thank you very much. But by God's grace and his mercy, fast forward a little bit, I came to a place where I literally just gave up. And I said, God, if you're real, reveal yourself to me. It started with girls in their senior year coming up and we got a youth group. Do you want to come with us? And because they were cool, and I was a junior,
They were cool.
I was I'll go with, but they trick you with cake, roller skating, blading, all this stuff. So you end up going because you want to have fun with people for the community aspect.
Yeah.
But finally they said, do you want to come with us to church? And I was okay, fine. Because I like the people so much. And I won't lie, the youth leader was the hottest guy I'd ever seen in my life. So I was there every Friday.
I love that.
Amen.
Hey, whatever the Lord wants to use to draw you to him.
So I got tricked, And then finally I went with him to church. And when I walked in, Summer, I had been to church my entire life because I was forced to go.
Yeah.
I never, ever encountered the living God. And as I walked into that church, I'll never forget it. The manifest presence of God came into the room, and I said a word that I won't repeat here. I said, blankety blank, you're real. And I just started walking to the front of that little old school pews with a little cushion. I knelt down. I said, I don't know how this works, but I say yes. And
So good.
fast forward, I ended up dating a boy who was much older than me. He took advantage of me. I felt so ashamed. I felt now I lost something that I could never, ever get back. He full-blown raped me. And I ran away from God just like Adam and Eve did in the garden. But just like he pursued them then and said, where are you? He came after me. I always tell people he's not just the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, the lover of all lovers, but he's also the stalker of all stalkers. And he will pursue you because that's who he has. The whole Bible is a story of a lover seeking his bride. And so that's what he did with me. And finally, I gave in. I woke up next to my boyfriend at the time, because I didn't keep them very long, because I had such a stronghold of rejection because of the house I came out of. My father wanted nothing to do with me, so there's a whole nother story. You can read my book. And but I literally just said, I'm leaving you for Jesus.
Wow.
He was like the hottest, the richest, the everythingest guy, but everything the world said, this will make you happy, I had it. And it never filled the gap. That one encounter that I had with God growing up, like, it didn't compare. And so I went to a completely different church in a completely different city, and I just said, okay, here I am. And I'll never forget it. I mean, I was weeping. I was snotting everywhere. People were passing me tissues, and I was the girl that was coming home with her heels in her hand when the kids were already going at university for their first class. I was the wildest. I was wilder than the zoo. That was me. I was trying to self-medicate myself with guys, with drinking. I would pass out in the bushes. I would wake up places I didn't even know where I was. That's why I always say if God can use me, he can use anyone. Because he redeemed me. He gave me beauty, not just for ashes, but for trashes, you know? And I literally, I just finally said, man, I've had enough of this. I just said, I'm leaving you for Jesus. I went to church that Sunday. I'm weeping. And then the pastor said, there's some of you here, you need to give your lives to Jesus for the first time. And I'm like ugly crying, right? Like, and I'm like, that's not me. I've given my life to the Lord before. And he said, and then there's some of you who need to come back to God. You've turned your backs on him. And I was like, slipped my hand up and I was like, that's me. And when I went to the front, I said, God, now I give you my life. No matter how hungover I am on a Sunday morning, no matter what I've been up to over a weekend, I'm not here because I'm perfect. I'm here because you're worthy of my worship.
Wow.
You are worthy. And I think hadn't I made that covenant where I just said, I'm not going to give up because of me. I'm here because of you. Man, that really sustained me because I had a lot of demons that still had to come out. I had a lot of healing that had to take place, but I just knew I'd been to hell and back and I wasn't going back there, you know? And so that's how it started.
Yeah.
And finally, also just say to the Lord, if you just reveal yourself to me. I need to be delivered of this rejection because it kept me in a lot of bondage. And that's when Jesus walked into my room and it changed my life forever. He had a ring in his hand. He had a white robe on. He came up to me and he said, Lindy Ann, will you marry me? And suddenly what went from a one-night Sunday stand with the Lord became a marriage. It became a covenant. I realized this wasn't just about a Sunday service. This was about a relationship with the King of Kings. And so I looked up at him when he asked me, and I was like, would you really have me? And so that was the beginning of a relationship that just, never go back.
I love that. And I think your story is so important because so many times we think we have to be holy enough, we have to be Christian enough or believe enough or whatever to be worthy of God. And I love that you shared that story. You were like, I was trash. And you felt like, I'm waking up in a bush. I'm all these things. There's no way the Lord will have me. And I love that. And I feel like your story is going to encourage a lot of people that feel like, God can't forgive me. But what does his word say? As far as the east is from the west, I remember your sin no more. So no matter what they've gone through, you can attest the Lord will take you back. The Lord will take you back right now. In fact, I just want to encourage, if you are watching right now, I feel really strongly that if you've walked through sin and you have been feeling like I've done too much and the Lord can't forgive me, I just want you to lean on Lindy Ann's testimony and just really ask him right now. Ask him right now if he would forgive you, because I guarantee you, you will hear that yes. And I guarantee you, you will experience what Lindy Ann is, and you will feel him calling you as his bride and as his daughter or son of Christ. I did not want to lean over that. I just felt like you were specifically calling out to some people that they've been feeling that way, that their sin was too great. So I love that. And I love your line of, I am leaving you for Jesus. I had it all, but I'm like, no, I am leaving you for Jesus.
I think sometimes, we look at the story of the prodigal son and people say, well, when people reach a dead end, they turn to God when they have nothing. But, in my walk with the Lord, I realized there's also the woman with the alabaster jar. She tried everything. She had everything. She had the riches. But even in that place, he was still her choice, willing to lay down everything that you have. I came out of a house, we drove a Porsche to school, So it's like really getting to know Jesus to that place where you say, hey, you're worthy of it all.
And I get to cut you off right now in mid-sentence because we're going to go to a commercial break. And so hang on tight. We'll be right back with Lindy Ann. I hope you enjoyed this. You can catch the rest of this interview right here or by going to BibleRevival.tv. Go check it out.